All right, let's move on and let's look at some vocab words for the Americas. Wow, those are some huge-ass pyramids. Look at those. Huge. All right, so we're talking about here is Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan today is just located about an hour outside of Mexico City. Teotihuacan was an early city-state. This was before the Aztecs, and it was a major trade center in Mesoamerica. There's a lot of mystery around Teotihuacan because more exploration needs to be done into the city, how it was built and how it fell. But we do know that it was a major trade center in Mesoamerica, and we also know that the Aztecs, when they make their capital city of Tenochtitlan, not Teotihuacan, but Tenochtitlan, when the Aztecs make their capital city, they get a lot of inspiration from looking at Teotihuacan, this early city-state that was basically like had an empire, but it's a mystery as to why it fell. And that's going to be a common theme when we talk about our classical civilizations of the Americas. All right, let's talk Tikal, which is our second vocab word. Tikal was a Mayan city-state. Now, the Mayans, which we're going to talk about in an upcoming vocab word, let's just throw those together. So look at number 2, Tikal, and then look at number 4, Maya. So for the Mayans were a Mesoamerican people who lived in today would be southern Mexico, Guatemala, and other Central American countries, who had many different city-states, and it wasn't like one empire. So they spread out in their different city-states all over and had huge city-states like Tikal. Tikal was built in the jungle. Many of these are still being uncovered to this day. Again, there's a lot of mystery with the Mayans. We know there's a lot of trade that went on in their kingdom. We know they had significant things like vocab word number 3, the ball game, which was a ball game that people would play on a huge court. Let me show you a picture of that. And this ball game, which we see right here, where people couldn't use their hands, and they had to get the ball into this loop, and this loop is like way up there, and you can't use your hands, and you got to get it up there. And when a team would score and would win, the other team would be sacrificed. So there was human sacrifice in Mayan civilization. Here we see kind of a dramatization of the ball game that the Mayans played. So let's look at these words now. Tikal, major Mayan city-state. Lots of trade went on. Also, in Tikal, there were lots of advancements. Also, Mayan culture, there was lots of scientific advancements, like the Mayans came up with the concept of zero. They were doing astronomy work. They also become an inspiration for other civilizations, but they're also a bit of a mystery because the Mayans start to leave these city-states, and we don't know exactly why. When the Spanish and then other explorers come in, and still to this day in the jungle, they're finding these Mayan city-states that were abandoned before Columbus came to the Americas. And it's a mystery as to why they were abandoned. So real quick, again, Tikal, city-state for the Mayan people. And the Mayans had many city-states all over Mesoamerica. The ball game was a game that people played. It was like a religious game, but it led to, if you lost, the human sacrifice, which existed for the Mayans. Significance, I mean, Tikal was a major city in Mesoamerica at that time, and it's even, we can still say to this day we need to learn more about it, and its historical significance is the advancement in astronomy and also in math. You can also put that down as significance for the Mayans as well. And for the ball game, the significance here was it was a religious tradition that was spread, and the people were sacrificed because they believed the sacrifices helped their gods to live. So there we go. There's all 3 words there, 2, 3, and 4, Tikal, ball game, and Maya. The Moche were an early civilization that existed in northern Peru. Right around here we see where the Moche were. The Moche were a people who, again, are mysterious because we don't know a whole lot about them. We do know that they had trade networks set up all the way up into the mountains and possibly even into the jungle. We do know that the Moche were a violent people who were able to take over their neighbors. They built huge pyramids and other structures. And we do know that they're an example that Andean culture did become very advanced. Andean culture meaning people from the Andes around Peru, Ecuador today. How the Moche disappeared is a mystery. One of the theories is that there's these El Niños that exist in South America, where there's weather currents that change. And what happens is when the weather currents change, if the water gets too cold, then the fish can all die, and it can bring huge rains and everything, which could have led to the disappearance of the Moche culture. The Moche culture is significant, though, because they'll influence further cultures like the Chimu, which we see right there, the Chimu, which will then influence the Incas, which we'll get into a little more detail in our next era. Let's look at our next word, which is Gran Chaco. You could also write down Chaco Canyon. Chaco Canyon is where people who are called the Anasazi used to live. These were people who built this huge area where they lived in the canyon, but then started living up in the cliffs. And they started living in these cliff dwellings, and it's a real mystery as to why they lived there. We're going to watch a video on these cliff dwellers that we'll see in class. However, they do expand trade networks into the southwest United States, and they become the biggest empire in the southwest United States at that time in the classical era. They're an American Indian civilization, trading and building these cliff dwelling basically they have the houses, and we don't quite know why they did that, and it's still a mystery to this day. There are some people who argue that the Anasazi, let's just get into the Anasazi right now too, which is our next word. The Anasazi are the people who lived in Gran Chaco or Chaco Canyon, had a lot of trade. There are some people who think that they were a peaceful people, and there's others out there who think that no, they had a lot of wars with the people around them, and that eventually forced them with a loss of resources to move up in the cliffs. But we don't really know. We do know that they expanded trade routes and that they were an advanced early civilization in today, which would be the United States. All right, Cahokia, and you're probably seeing a theme here that there's a lot of trade going on. It's with Cahokia too. Cahokia was located in the central United States. Today it's located in Illinois. And Cahokia were these mound building civilization, where they built these huge mounds that were kind of like pyramids, but they were mounds, where you can still see the remnants of these mounds today. And on these mounds they had a huge city where they were trading for people from all over the United States at that time and Americas. They would find seashells, for example, in the city of Cahokia, which had to have shown that these people were having expansive trade routes. So it's a huge trade city located in the central United States. That was able to be built at this time in the classical era. And again, it's more evidence, significance of that the American Indian civilizations were building advanced civilizations during the classical era, 600 to 600. All right, so we got good luck on your vocab test coming up.